President Biden says he'll nominate the first black woman to the Supreme Court.
And the U.S. and NATO allies respond to Russian demands.
Plus, we'll be seeing single-digit temperatures overnight. Newswatch starts right now.
I'm Madison Moore.
And I'm Nick Veland. Welcome to Newswatch, your source for news impacting southeastern Ohio. United States Supreme Court Justice Stephen Breyer is retiring. 83-year-old Breyer has a strong liberal presence on a bench that has been filled with more conservative voices in recent years. His departure will not change the 6-3 conservative advantage on the court because his replacement will be nominated and likely confirmed by a Senate where Democrats have a slim majority. It also makes 73-year-old Justice Clarence Thomas the oldest member of the court. Justice Thomas is the court's only black justice and only the second black justice ever. President Joe Biden has pledged to fill by naming the first black woman to the court.
The President has stated and reiterated his commitment to nominating a black woman to the Supreme Court and certainly stands by that.
If he follows through, the Senate confirms his choice. It would mark the first time 4 women would sit together on the High Court and the first time 2 of the court's 9 members would be black justices. 2 names mentioned frequently as possible nominees is Ketanji Brown Jackson, a federal appeals court judge, and Leandra Cougar, a justice on the California Supreme Court. The U.S. and NATO allies have delivered a written response to Russia's demands over the Ukrainian crisis. During previous talks with U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken, Russia demanded former Soviet nations like Ukraine never to be admitted into NATO, and that the U.S. and NATO allies roll back troop deployment in other Soviet bloc nations. These are non-starters for the U.S. and its allies. With the continuing escalation and troop buildup in Ukraine, Secretary Blinken still hopes for a diplomatic solution.
The document we've delivered includes concerns of the United States and our allies and partners about Russia's actions that undermine security, a principled and pragmatic evaluation of the concerns that Russia has raised, and our own proposals for areas where we may be able to find common ground.
The Biden administration and NATO in the letter to Moscow are not making any concessions to Russia's demands. Both NATO and the U.S. are holding firm to the alliance's open-door policy for new member states, also saying allied deployments of troops and military equipment in Eastern Europe are non-negotiable. Secretary Blinken hopes this letter will lead to more diplomacy. Russia's reaction to the letter could determine whether Europe will again be plunged into war.
The Ohio Secretary of State has tested positive for COVID. Frank LaRose began experiencing symptoms Sunday evening and tested positive Monday morning. He is fully vaccinated and postponed all public events this week. The diagnosis comes after he spent several days with members of the Ohio Redistricting Commission. He was unmasked for most of the meeting, exposing other members, including Governor Mike DeWine. A spokesperson for DeWine says he won't be quarantining, and the two were sitting at opposite ends of the room. Meetings are continuing as scheduled for the committee. Democratic and voting rights groups in Ohio head to court with objections against the redrawn Ohio legislative district maps. Evidence to back up their objections against the, quote, unconstitutionally gerrymandered maps was filed Tuesday afternoon at the Ohio Supreme Court. Parties face a midnight deadline to lay out their exact legal arguments. The court previously invalidated the first round of maps and ordered the Ohio Redistricting Commission to try again. Republicans controlling the commission argue the maps meet the court's order despite lacking bipartisan support. Incumbents will compete in Kentucky primaries for 3 House seats this year. Candidate lineups for federal and state officers were finalized Tuesday. That is, unless new redistricting maps are blocked in court. Secretary of State Michael Adams' office says nearly 700 candidates are running for seats. The candidate filing deadline was pushed back to give Kentuckians time to decide whether to run in the new districts.
Hey everyone. I'm forecaster Cole Patterson, and tonight it is going to be a chilly night out. Bitter, in fact, as the low is going to hit 9 degrees, single digits. But for right now, it is 16, calm winds, but those temperatures are going to drop rapidly. Across the region, it is going to be 16 in Athens. It's going to be a little bit warmer down to the south, 22 in Ironton. But up to the north, we're going to see some more colder temperatures, 14 in Columbus and 14 in Newark. But thankfully, it is going to remain clear across the region tonight. Looking at this week ahead, we are going to see freezing temperatures into the weekend. And tomorrow, we are actually going to see a chance of snow. It is going to be a dry weekend expected, so thankfully keep that in mind if you're heading out. You won't really have to deal with any rain gear or any of that. But into next week, it is going to get a little bit warmer as we are going to hit 50s one day. I'll have more about that in my full forecast. Now, back to Madison.
Thanks, Cole. Construction of a portion of Corridor H in West Virginia is getting a federal funding boost. $37 million in funding for work on this project. The money comes from President Joe Biden's $1 trillion infrastructure deal. The funding will provide nearly $200 million over the next 5 years for the 4-lane highway. Corridor H is among the last uncompleted sections of the Appalachian Highway system proposed more than 50 years ago.
An employee-led effort to unionize a franchise of Tudor's Biscuit World in West Virginia has failed. A National Labor Relations Board official said workers had voted 7-5 to reject the union on a call yesterday. Union organizers announced soon after that they filed unfair labor practice charges against the company. United Food and Commercial Workers Local 400 alleges that the company fired employees of the Elkview franchise. Huntington City Council passes a resolution regarding the strike at Special Metals. The resolution urges the company and members of the United Steelworkers to come to an agreement. Since October 1st, 400 members of the United Steelworkers Local 40 have been on strike. The council would like to see workers receive an offer that helps them recoup losses. It passes with a 6-4 vote with one abstention, but the resolution did not come without debate. Federal interest rates are changing with pandemic numbers, and a local clinic will be vaccinating rabbits. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
The Maya built great cities
terraces, road systems. It's a perfect planned city.
and then abandoned them. Can new discoveries reveal why?
And then, bam, we have these huge deposits.
It is completely unique. There's nothing like it.
There's a history behind those artifacts, a culture we want to know better. The Maya are still here.
Ancient Maya Metropolis on Nova.
The Animals with Cameras adventure continues in Australia, where some of the country's most iconic creatures take over filming.
Now, the big test will be, what shots do we get?
The footage could hold vital information for scientists trying to safeguard these animals.
By getting video footage, we might be able to unravel this mystery and figure out what they're doing.
This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.
He invoked it on his first day.
America first.
He incited it through the rest of his presidency.
The Republicans understood the bargain that they were making with Donald Trump.
And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Trump's American carnage.
Two weeks in the books and the action is getting more intense. Can the Nelsonville York girls keep their TVC title chances alive? And Megs takes on Vinton County with the TVC title on the line. Also, be sure to keep an eye out for our Beyond the Court segment, which takes place at Federal Hawking High School. Catch all these heroics and more by tuning into WEB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. Or you can follow along on social media. Once again, we're reminding you to be heroic.
The Federal Reserve signals that it plans to begin raising its benchmark interest rate as soon as March. This is a key step to reversing its pandemic-era low-rate policies that have fueled hiring growth but also escalated inflation. The Fed also said that it plans to phase out its monthly bond purchases in March, which have been intended to lower long-term rates. This is to fight against high inflation squeezing consumers and businesses as well as the falling unemployment. The bank's actions will make a wide range of borrowing costlier over time. This could slow consumer spending and hiring. While the economy begins to bounce back from pandemic numbers and COVID cases are beginning to fall, many are wondering when the pandemic will end. This comes as Pfizer and BioNTech test a new vaccine against the Omicron variant. Daryl Forges has the details.
Positive COVID-19 case numbers trending down in some states. According to Johns Hopkins University, the U.S. is averaging over 639,000 new cases per day. That's a 14% decrease over last week.
We're 2 years into this pandemic, and people, I think, are feeling rightly exhausted by all of this.
Now, some health experts believe it's time for a change in strategy against the pandemic.
We need a new strategy moving forward, and that strategy does not have us in emergency mode all the time.
On Wednesday, the Biden administration outlined plans for the future of living with COVID-19 without disruptions to normal life.
And we continue to move toward a time when COVID won't disrupt our daily lives, a time when COVID is no longer a crisis, but rather something we protect against and treat.
Scientists are working to develop a universal or pan-coronavirus vaccine that offers protection against any type of coronavirus, including variants that cause COVID-19.
Obviously, innovative approaches are needed to induce broad and durable protection against coronaviruses that are known and some that are even at this point unknown. Hence, the terminology pan-coronavirus vaccine.
As to how long it could take to develop this new vaccine,
it's going to take years to develop in an incremental fashion.
In the meantime, Dr. Anthony Fauci says the current vaccines and boosters are still the best way to protect yourself. I'm Daryl Forges reporting.
Ohio has seen a drop in COVID cases along with other states nationwide, recording a little over 4,000 new cases yesterday. The vaccination rate is 56%. That's below the national vaccination rate of 63%. And humans aren't the only ones who need vaccines. Newswatch reporter Andre Norrells has more on a shot for your furry friends.
Thanks, Nick. Veterans and farmers are preparing for the western sweep of the virus that's been around for over 10 years.
Rapid hemorrhagic disease virus, or RHDV2, is spreading quickly.
It's going faster and faster. It'll be in every state soon.
This strain of the virus originated in Europe in 2010, but in the last 2 years, it has spread through the West and made its way to Kentucky. Director of River Road Animal Rescue, Suzanne Greif, says the rabbit population is big in Athens.
We do have a good number of people that keep rabbits as pets, but our region is largely 4-H and people who are having rabbits as livestock for show.
Dr. Susan Borders, owner of Borders Veterinary Services, located in Columbus, says the virus is extremely contagious and can be transmitted from wild rabbits to pet rabbits through clothing, shoes, and even insects.
The virus is 100% fatal, so there's no treatment for it, and it is very aggressive. It often causes symptoms such as a fever or liver issues. They can have bleeding into cavities.
The virus does not affect humans, and as of now, the disease itself doesn't affect other animals. But Greif believes many pet owners should be worried.
It'll take out a huge part of the wild rabbit population, which means that predators that rely on rabbits for food will lose a major food source, which means that they'll come looking to us for resources like our pets. So people who free roam pets outside could be putting their pets at risk.
Now, the RHDV2 vaccine producer Medgene received emergency use authorization approval from the USDA for their 2-dose vaccine. There is a clinic coming up if you would like to get your rabbit vaccinated in Athens. This clinic will administer the first dose of the vaccine Saturday, February 12th from 8 a.m. to 12 p.m. and the second dose Friday, March 4th from 1 p.m. to 5 p.m. Ohio Valley Animal Clinic will host these clinics, but if you're interested, you would have to contact River Road Rabbit Rescue at 740-517-3486 or email athensrabbits@gmail.com. For Newswatch, I'm Andre Norris. Back to you, Madison.
Thanks, Andre.
Tonight, we're going to see some bitter cold temperatures, and tomorrow we'll even see a chance for snow. I'll have more in my full forecast coming up. But for now, let's take a look at stocks of local interest.
The Maya built great cities.
Terraces, road systems, it's a perfect planned city.
And then abandoned them. Can new discoveries reveal why?
And then, bam, we have these huge deposits.
It is completely unique. There's nothing like it.
There's a history behind those artifacts, a culture we want to know better. The Maya are still here.
Ancient Maya metropolis on Nova.
Two weeks in the books and the action is getting more intense. Can the Nelsonville York girls keep their TVC title chances alive? And Megs takes on Vinton County with the TVC title on the line. Also, be sure to keep an eye out for our Beyond the Court segment, which takes place at Federal Hawking High School. Catch all these heroics and more by tuning into WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. Or you can follow along on social media. Once again, we're reminding you to be heroic.
The Animals with Cameras adventure continues in Australia, where some of the country's most iconic creatures take over filming.
Now, the big test will be, what shots do we get?
The footage could hold vital information for scientists trying to safeguard these animals.
By getting video footage, we might be able to unravel this mystery and figure out what they're doing.
This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.
He invoked it on his first day.
America first.
He incited it through the rest of his presidency.
The Republicans understood the bargain that they were making with Donald Trump.
And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Trump's American carnage.
Hey everyone, I'm forecaster Cole Patterson, and tonight we are going to have some cold temperatures, single-digit temperatures in fact, but the winds are going to be very calm and it's going to be clear skies out. So, moving on. Sorry for the technical difficulties, we're working on the graphics right now, but as I was saying, the temperatures tonight are going to be very, very cold, and that's going to be the same thing tomorrow too, but we actually have a chance of snow tomorrow night. We could be looking at up to 2 inches in fact, so be sure to keep that in mind when heading out tomorrow night. Across the region, we're also experiencing some cold temperatures. 6 is the low tonight in Athens. We also have similar temperatures in Columbus, 5 in Newark, and 1 in Cambridge, so bundle up tonight. It is going to be a cold one. Now, looking at the hour by hour, it's going to be 13 at 8 p.m., 10 at 10 p.m., and 9 at midnight. So we're going to see those single-digit temperatures start at midnight. Clear skies, like I said, 6 is the low and the winds are calm. And across the region, once again, it's going to be 6 in Athens, 6 in Columbus, and 1 in Cambridge. It's going to be clear skies throughout the entire country tonight, in fact, with the only precipitation down near Texas, so way out of our region. And hour by hour in the morning, it is going to be 8 degrees with a cold start to the day, but the sun will be out. We will not see clouds roll until about noon, and those temperatures are going to rapidly increase to 29 by noon. 34 is going to be the high tomorrow. We're going to have a chance of snow that appears later tomorrow night. The winds are going to be relatively calm, 5 to 10 miles per hour in the southwest direction. And across the region tomorrow, it's going to be 34 in Athens, once again 31 in Columbus, 31 in Newark, and a bit warmer down to the south, 39 in Ironton. And across the region, this is what I was talking about earlier. We're going to see that snow roll into the Ohio region, and we could be looking at up to 2 inches tomorrow. That's all I have for you right now. I'll have more in my final weather forecast coming up. Back to Madison.
Thanks, Cole. With the winter cold and snowstorms finding their way to Athens, community members and students try to make the best out of the snowy situations. Kate Anderson tells us how the community can stay safe and have fun this winter season.
Even when predicted, snowstorms can leave a community feeling stuck. Whether you need to get to school or to work, the snow can make getting there very difficult. Ohio University student Brandy Taylor says she had a hard time walking to work during the storm.
It was so snowy out and the sidewalks weren't quite paved yet, so that kind of was unfortunate. I would slip every 10 feet.
Despite her issues getting to work during the storm, Brandy and her friends made the most of the snow.
A bunch of my friends wanted to go sledding. I wasn't really feeling up to it, but they dragged me out, so I got all bundled up, and we went to Jeff Hill and slid down it, and actually I'm really thankful and grateful that we did that because I've never went sledding in Athens, so it was a good memory to have.
As many Ohio University students know, the snow can be so much fun, but sometimes it can be a safety hazard and it can prevent people from getting where they need to be.
Athens police officer Nick Magruder says the best way to stay safe during a storm is to stay at home.
The biggest thing is when it's really nasty out is don't leave unless you have to.
The police try to be the first line of defense for the community during these snowstorms.
If the snow starts coming down, we start getting heavy ice or sleet or something like that. We start making contacts to the city garage, letting them know, hey, the roads are getting slick. And if we do have some really bad areas, we would stay in that area with our lights on, make sure people are aware that it's slippery.
Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Kate Anderson.
Coming up in sports, Ohio women's basketball is set to take on the top team in the MAC. Hear from head coach later on. And right now, after the break, Ohio men's basketball is back in the win column following a big win. Stay tuned to WOUB, and here's a look at what's coming up on your public television station.
He was a rebel, a lover, a champion, a fugitive, a legend, and forgotten. Until now. PBS and Ken Burns tell the story of the greatest boxer you never knew. Unforgivable blackness, the rise and fall of Jack Johnson.
This is making me emotional.
On Finding Your Roots, Mario Lopez.
Man, I'm just blessed to be born when I was.
And Melissa Villaseñor.
I'm Basque, baby. I want to shout it from the mountaintops.
Ancestors who crossed the border.
This is not what we think of Mexican immigration. It's kind of cool.
Leaving family history behind.
You ever think of yourself as an indigenous woman?
I love that.
Finding Your Roots.
This American carnage stops right here and stops right now.
He invoked it on his first day.
America first.
He incited it through the rest of his presidency.
The Republicans understood the bargain that they were making with Donald Trump.
And if you don't fight like hell, you're not going to have a country anymore.
Trump's American carnage.
Two weeks in the books and the action is getting more intense. Can the Nelsonville York girls keep their TVC title chances alive? And Megs takes on Vinton County with the TVC title on the line. Also, be sure to keep an eye out for our Beyond the Court segment, which takes place at Federal Hawking High School. Catch all these heroics and more by tuning into WOUB Sunday nights at 11 and Monday nights at 6. Or you can follow along on social media. Once again, we're reminding you to be heroic.
The Ohio men's basketball team is back in the win column after knocking off Northern Illinois last night. The Bobcats showed no mercy to the Huskies, who have been on one of the bottom feeders of the MAC all season long. Ohio came out firing at a blistering pace in the first half and shot 46% from the field. And Northern Illinois just couldn't keep up as the halftime score was 41-22. Mark Sears played all 40 minutes, racking up 26 points and 6 rebounds and another highlight reel performance for the sophomore guard. Ben Vanderplas added 15 points and 5 boards to an eventual 74-62 win, a score much closer than the game actually was.
We got it up to 28. Obviously, we didn't finish the game very well, but we'll work on that, and better to be up 28 than down 28 and trying to fight back into it. But really proud of our guys for the response, after last game.
After a much-needed big performance, the Bobcats face a much strainier test Friday night as they travel to New York to take on the MAC preseason favorite Buffalo. The Ohio women's basketball team has no room for error as they travel up to Toledo to take on the Rockets tonight. Toledo is a dangerous team that has scores all over the court. Keisha Lockett is the top scorer for the Rockets, putting up 17.7 points per game and shooting 40% from the field. She also leads the team in rebounds, averaging 6 a game. Sophie Ward is also a key contributor, averaging 10 and 6 a game herself. Toledo currently leads the pack in the MAC with a 14-3 record and have never lost a game in conference this year. Ohio will need their stars, Cece Hooks and Erica Johnson, to step up in order to compete against Toledo, and head coach Bob Bolden says the team needs to be prepared to come out of the blocks faster against the Rockets.
We have to have better energy to start the game, but I think they know that. So we'll get after it, and yeah, like you said, it's a very good Toledo team. Right now the best team in the league, and that's a tough place to play. But that's what we're here for, and we'll go up there and try our best.
The Columbus Blue Jackets will try to defend home ice tonight after dropping 2 straight at home this past week. The Blue Jackets face Calgary tonight. They come into this one at 5th place in the Metropolitan Division, 18 points behind the 4th place Capitals. The Flames sit at 4th in the Pacific. Calgary left winger Matthew Tkachuk has 4 goals and 13 points in his last 5 games. Columbus Boone Jenner leads the team in points, goals, and assists over their last 5. Puck drop is set for 10 minutes from now in Nationwide Arena. And the Bengals are enjoying their best season in decades, and fans are rushing to possibly get a taste of history. But ticket prices for Sunday's AFC Championship game in Kansas City are skyrocketing. The cheapest ticket listed on Ticketmaster is going for a cool $480. For comparison, Kansas City has hosted the last 4 AFC Championship games, and bearing the last 4 years limited capacity due to COVID, no ticket has gone over $200 on the secondary market. Clearly, there are holders of Bengals fans hungry to see their team fight for a spot in the Super Bowl next month. Now over to Madison, back at the desk.
Thanks, Nick. The Chinese zodiac may bring some good luck to the Cincinnati Bengals. At least one Chinese restaurant chain hopes so. It's celebrating the Year of the Tiger to cheer on the home team. The restaurant celebration comes with some special menu items. Owner Suzanne Wong says she is adding tiger shrimp to the menu and importing tiger beer from Singapore. That should be good news for the Bengals players who Now the Year of the Tiger doesn't officially start until next Tuesday. By then, we'll know if the Bengals are Super Bowl bound. They have to beat the Kansas City Chiefs Sunday to get there.
Tomorrow, we're going to see some highs of 34 degrees with the chance of snow later in the night. The winds are going to be calm 5 to 10 miles per hour to the southwest. And looking at the week ahead, we're going to see those warmer temperatures on Tuesday with a high of 51, partly cloudy, but we're going to see mixed precipitation.
Support comes from Hocking Valley Bank, offering mortgage loans or refinancing on an existing home, making it easy for dreams to become a reality. Hocking Valley Bank, we know loans.